evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Sultanate of Oman records a significant increase in foreign direct investments by the end of the first quarter of this year, exceeding 30.6 billion Omani riyals. The Admission Center announces more than 29,000 study seats in higher education institutions for the academic year 2025-2026. And the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation launches the 6th edition of the National Program for Training University Students, ICDAD. Those are the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq has sent a cable of greetings to His Majesty King Philippe Leopold Louis Marie of the Belgians on his country's National Day. The Sultanate of Oman recorded a significant increase in foreign direct investments by the end of the first quarter of this year, exceeding 30.6 billion Omani riyals, while inflows reached 5.2 billion Omani riyals. More details in the following report.
Preliminary statistics issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information showed that the oil and gas extraction sector accounted for 81% of total foreign investment, with a value exceeding 24 billion 700 million Omani riyals and cash inflows amounting to 4 billion 812 million Omani riyals. The manufacturing sector accounted for more than 2 billion 749 million Omani riyals, with cash inflows exceeding 592 million Omani riyals. The financial intermediation sector accounted for investments exceeding 1 billion 300 million Omani riyals, with cash inflows amounting to 217 million 800,000 Omani riyals. In the real estate, leasing and commercial project activities sector, the value of investments exceeded 603 million, 50 million Omani riyals, registering a decrease of approximately 37% year-on-year. Total foreign direct investment in the transportation, storage and communication sector amounted to 357 million and 900,000 Omani riyals, with inflows exceeding 3 million Omani riyals. Meanwhile, the electricity and water sector recorded investments amounting to 292 million Omani riyals, and the trade sector recorded 262 million Omani riyals, with inflows exceeding 14 million Omani riyals. The total value in the hotels and restaurants sector amounted to more than 116 million Omani riyals, and in the construction sector, it exceeded 88 million Omani riyals. The total value in the other activities sector approached 90 million Omani riyals, with inflows exceeding 7 million Omani riyals. The United Kingdom accounted for approximately 51% of total FDI in the Sultanate of Oman by the end of the first quarter of this year, followed by the United States, then Kuwait, China, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, the Kingdom of Bahrain, and several other countries.
The preference modification phase for registration and admission for the academic year 2025-2026 will begin tomorrow, Tuesday, and will continue until Thursday, 31st of July. The results of the initial sorting will be announced on the evening of Tuesday, 19th of August, while accepted students will have the opportunity to complete their procedures until noon on Sunday, 24th of August. The number of available seats received from government higher education institutions, domestic scholarships, private sector grants for private higher education institutions, and external scholarships and grants from Arab countries for the 2025-2026 academic year has reached 29,252 seats. The preference modification phase is one of the most critical stages of registration, allowing students to finalize their program choices in the system for the initial sorting competition. The updates this year focus on two main aspects, namely admission procedures and academic programs. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation launched the 6th edition of the National Program for Training University Students, EDAD. The program aims to train a number of university students in various majors. It also focuses on preparing students for their professional careers in a manner that increases their chances for employment. The event was presided over by Her Excellency Dr. Rahma bint Ibrahim al-Mahrouqi, Minister of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. To move efforts in the direction of establishing a national roadmap for the circular economy, the Ministry of Economy organized a workshop on the project for measuring the gap in the Sultanate of Oman's various sectors. Here's a report.
To prepare a national roadmap for the circular economy, the Ministry of Economy organised their second workshop on the project for measuring the circular economy gap in the Sultanate of Oman. This workshop reviewed the preliminary results of the project and introduced some accompanying initiatives, such as training programmes and the proposed interactive platform to showcase the project's results and outputs. It also presented some preliminary models for the impact of implementing circular economy policies on environmental and economic indicators, including employment opportunities.
We were delighted to host the second roundtable as part of the Circular Gap report project that is handled by the Ministry of the Economy in collaboration with the Circle Economy Foundation. We are proud to collaborate with the Circle Economy Foundation in this project because it is one of the first projects to be conducted and implemented across the Middle East region. So we are very delighted to pave the way for the others to follow suit.
The workshop aims to continue consultations and coordination with relevant government entities and the private, academic and civil society sectors regarding enhancement of the role played by circular economy in the Sultanate of Oman, as its importance lies in promoting sustainability, efficient resource utilization, reduce of waste and recycling.
At this event, we're actually talking about the baseline analysis of the material stream of the Sultanate of Oman. So circularity in general is all about material use and seeing how we can repurpose material for as long as possible at the highest value to make sure that we don't waste resources. And with that, we hope to stay within the planetary boundaries for a safe condition for all living beings, but also primarily ourselves. The circular economy specifically for Oman is really looking at which systems need to change as a priority, and how we make that happen is a collaborative process with the policymakers, industry leaders, but also the financial institutions to ensure that we can invest into the transition of a circular economy.
The Sultanate of Oman strives to achieve net zero emissions as part of its national priorities and has adopted a gradual transition approach to a green and circular economy while diversifying renewable energy sources. The goal is to establish a sustainable low-carbon economy that supports comprehensive and sustainable development, preserves resources for future generations.
A workshop titled Defining the Strategic Purpose of Al-Dhahira Governorate was held. The workshop focused on defining the strategic vision and mission for the Governorate with an emphasis on leveraging Al-Dhahira's advantages to develop future implementation plans. The project will be implemented in several stages, adopting a participatory approach that enhances the local community's role in shaping the Governorate's direction. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning launched the Future Cities Projects Pavilion at the Oman Across Ages Museum. The exhibition offers visitors an immersive look at how the future of the Sultanate of Oman is building cities designed for the future.
Stemming from a national vision to shape cities that are livable, future-ready and knowledge-driven, the Sultanate of Oman is entering a dynamic phase of urban development. As part of this transformation, The Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning inaugurated the Future Cities Projects Pavilion at the Oman Across Ages Museum, an interactive space designed to bring urban planning closer to the public and showcase the strategic direction of Oman's city-building efforts.
One could describe that the overall vision is derived from the Vision 2040, in which it is about sustainable cities and thriving communities. And when you take this as the bigger picture, within it you can see the ministry's description of the new cities through a number of attributes. Attributes are the character of the city. Now you can see that all the different projects in this exhibition are pulled together by the same ambition and the same vision.
The exhibition runs through September and presents a series of models and master plans that reflect Oman's commitment to thoughtful, human-centered development. On display are key projects including Sultan Haytham City, a fully integrated next-generation city, a Thuraya City, which blends innovation with urban design, and Al Jabal Al Ali, a unique approach to sustainable development in mountain terrain.
Thuraya City, one of the most unique aspects about it is that it's at a elevated height. In Muscat, it's probably the last residential area at that height, 200 meters above the sea level, with panoramic views around Muscat with the sea and the city towards the north. And to the southern region is the mountainous escape, and then you have Wadi El Ansab to the east. So it's pretty spectacular, and it consists of all sorts of amenities that one would want to be living within in the neighborhood.
The pavilion also highlights strategic master plans such as Salalah Future City, the redevelopment of Central Al Khuwair, as well as the Suruh integrated neighborhoods, which offer inclusive, service-rich housing options tailored to diverse community needs. This exhibition is a national narrative in motion, a space where Oman's future cities come to life, driven by innovation, sustainability, and progress for all. Reporting from Oman Across Ages Museum in the Wilaya of Manah, this is Salih Abu Khalfan al-Rahbi, الداخلية, Governorate.
Gaza Health Ministry said that the territory saw its deadliest day yet for aid seekers in over 21 months of war, as over 75 Palestinians were killed while trying to reach food. More details in the following report.
There was new alarm as Israel's military issued evacuation orders for parts of central Gaza, one of the few areas where it has rarely operated with ground troops and where many international organizations trying to distribute aid are located. One group said several offices were told to evacuate immediately. Zahar al-Wahidi, head of the Health Ministry's Records Department, stated that the largest death toll was in devastated northern Gaza, where living conditions are especially dire. At least 79 Palestinians were killed while trying to reach aid entering through the Zakim crossing with Israel. Meanwhile, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, the UNRWA, renewed its call to lift the brutal Israeli siege on the Gaza Strip to end the famine there and allow the safe and widespread entry of humanitarian aid to alleviate the growing humanitarian suffering in the Strip. UNRWA indicated that it has sufficient food stored in its warehouses in the Egyptian city of Arish to cover the needs of all Gaza residents for more than 3 months, urging international institutions to pressure Israeli entity to allow the safe and widespread entry of aid. For his part, Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa accused Israel today of using starvation as a weapon of war in the Gaza Strip. Mustafa, as he was speaking at a news conference in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank, referenced the killing of more than 995 Palestinians who were waiting for aid from the death traps the Israelis have set up. 2 million people in the Gaza Strip are experiencing a humanitarian crisis at all levels. The Israeli occupation authorities have closed the crossing since 2nd of March of 2025, preventing the entry of food and medical aid, causing a famine to spread throughout the Strip. In the meantime, the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, the OCHA, said that the area of Gaza under displacement orders or within Israeli militarized zones has risen to 87.8%. OCHA warns that yesterday's mass displacement order issued by the Israeli military has dealt yet another devastating blow to the already fragile lifelines, keeping people alive across the Gaza Strip. The order covers about 5.6 square kilometers of Deir al-Balah, spanning 4 neighborhoods. According to OCHA, initial estimates indicate that between 50,000 and 80,000 people were in the area at the time the order was issued, including some 30,000 people sheltering in 57 displacement sites. At least 1,000 families have fled the area in the recent hours.
Iran and 3 European countries, France, Germany and Britain, collectively known as the E3, have agreed to resume negotiations over Tehran's nuclear program, according to the semi-official Tasnim news agency. According to the report, the upcoming negotiations are expected to be held at the level of deputy foreign ministers. Iran and the E3 have held several rounds of talks covering Tehran's nuclear program and the removal of sanctions, among other issues, since September 2024. The 3 European countries have, over the past months, been threatening Iran with triggering the snapback mechanism, a clause in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action signed in 2015 between Iran and world powers that will allow the other parties to reimpose all international sanctions if Iran fails to comply with the agreement. The Iranian side has warned several times that it will react strongly against the E3 if the mechanism is triggered. Russia unleashed one of its largest aerial assaults on Ukraine in recent months, only hours before the UK and Germany are to chair a meeting to discuss US President Donald Trump's plan for NATO allies to provide Ukraine with weapons. The attack killed 2 people and wounded 15. The overnight Russian attack of Kyiv began shortly after midnight and continued until around 6 a.m. In one Kyiv district, a kindergarten, a supermarket, and a warehouse facilities caught fire. It was the first major attack on Kyiv since Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, arrived in the city last Monday. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched 426 drones overnight today, as well as 24 missiles of various types. It said 200 drones were intercepted, with 203 more jammed or lost from radars. Houses were covered in mud and trees were toppled in the South Korean resort town of Gaebyong County today after torrential rains triggered a landslide a day earlier. Flooding from a swollen river caused the local restaurant to collapse, leaving the owner, who survived the ordeal, to sift through the debris. 2 people had died and 4 others were still missing in Gaebyong, according to local authorities. According to a report released by the Ministry of Interior and Safety, the nationwide death toll was at 18, with 9 still missing due to torrential rains. More than 4,000 public and private properties were reported damaged due to the weather conditions. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we wrap up tonight's bulletin, here's a recap of our main headlines. The Sultanate of Oman records a significant increase in foreign direct investments by the end of the first quarter of this year, exceeding 30.6 billion Omani riyals. The Admissions Center announces more than 29,000 study seats in higher education institutions for the academic year 2025-2026. And And the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation launches the 6th edition of the National Program for Training University Students, ICTAD. With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.